You heard Miss Heard say, "Get off me," right?
No, I did not. Hitting the wall hard based on the
We'll just take a look at the
accusations
next
that she
exhibit, Mr.
brought.
Depp.
I'm sorry, I was talking. Is that all right?
You had answered my question. We'll take a look at the next exhibit. Thank you.
Yeah. As long as you're happy, sir.
You didn't want her acting. You wanted to control her career, correct?
Objection, compound.
That's patently
hold on,
untrue, and it's a
Mr.
great
Depp,
guess.
sir. All right, yes, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Sorry.
We can, did I read that right?
Yes, Mr. Rottenborn.
You're complaining about her ambition in this text to her, to Dr. Kipper, correct?
I'm realizing that her ambition is far stronger than her supposed feelings for me, yes. It doesn't mean that I actually literally cut my finger off after, at the age of 12, finding the only thing that gave me peace, which is playing the guitar. Very unlikely. Why didn't I start lopping off digits when I was 13 then?
Just the way it was worded. Now, Miss Heard what?
Objection, relevance.
What's the relevance?
When your nerves are pushed...
Sir, if you
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Pardon.
She was trying to get you to stop using drugs. But
She
let's
had
take a look at
used
what
the
you
same-
say in
She had
this
used
text.
that term before.
In this text, Mr. Depp, you say there were numerous negative news stories about you. You'd agree with that, correct?
Objection, compound.
All right, I'll sustain it to compound.
Thank you so much.
May 7th, 2016. It's entitled Johnny Depp. Friends and family seriously concerned about him. Here's why.
Yes,
Correct.
how did they know?
The next article from May 1st, 2017, before Ms. Heard filed for, says Johnny Depp reportedly drank heavily and was constantly late on the new Pirates movie set. Did I read that right?
You did, reportedly.
The next
These are
article,
all hit
also
pieces.
from May
These
10th,
are drags,
2017.
sir.
Mr.
This is a
Depp,
pathetic attempt.
Mr. Depp, please just respond to the question that I'm asking you.
What's your
The next
question,
question,
Mr. Rottenborn?
the next document
Yes.
is entitled Johnny Depp's financial woes might sink the next Pirates of the Caribbean. Did I read that right?
You did. I don't know
The
how
next
my
article,
financial woes would do
May
that.
25th, 2007, Johnny Depp's star power looks as wobbly as Jack Sparrow on a plank. Did I read that right?
You read that very, very well.
The next one, Hollywood Reporter, May 27th, 2000. Did I read that
Allegedly,
correctly?
reports say... This is hearsay. is
June
it not?
21st,
Your favorite
2018, 6 months before the Inside the Trials of Johnny Depp. Did I read that right?
You did. You should read the article. It's
And the last
wonderful.
one, June 22nd, 2018, the day Alison Boshoff reveals why Hollywood's reeling over what's being called Johnny Depp's career note. Did I read that correctly?
You did. Who's Alison Boshoff and how does she know?
Mr. Depp, you can't name
Oh, it
a
won't
single
answer that, I see.
actress. No further questions.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we go ahead and take our morning recess for 15 minutes? Do not...
Sean Bailey, who was the number 3.
Objection, hearsay.
I don't know yet. I'll overrule it at this point.
Thank you.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just basically said in the...
Objection, hearsay.
Your
What
Honor,
Sean Bailey said.
this is about him
It's in
learning about this.
article.
It's not for the truth.
It is the truth. She's
If
asking.
you want to approach, that's hard.
Mr. Depp, could you please explain to the jury who Sean Bailey is? I think you were starting to.
Yes, I'll try again. Sean Bailey was quoted as saying that...
Objection, hearsay.
Mr. Depp, where was Sean Bailey quoted, without getting into what he was quoted as saying?
I don't know who did the interview with him.
Objection, lack of foundation.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Mr. Depp,
Had been approached to take part in writing
Objection,
Pirates
hearsay.
6.
last week Mr. Rottenborn asked you about a quote where you said you wouldn't come back to the Pirates franchise for $300 million and 1 million alpacas. Do you remember that?
I do.
What, do you recall when specifically you made that statement about the $300 million and the 100 alpacas?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled, I'll allow it.
Mr. Depp, do you recognize this document?
As soon as my eyes go on, I hopefully will. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I'm so pathetic when it comes to knowing what movies I've done. I'm sorry. I just, I don't watch them. I feel better not watching them. I couldn't, what was the question again?
How many?
I have order in the court, or I will have you removed. Understood?
How would you describe Mr. Bettany's relationship with Miss Heard while you and Miss Heard were together?
Abominable.
Mr. Depp, I believe this is another text message with Mr. Bettany that you were shown on your cross-examination.
And when he came home from school...
Your Honor, I'm just going to object on relevance. The question was, who was this about?
Yeah, we can move on.
Okay.
Mr. Depp, what, if any, portion of this email exchange is literally true?
We're all set to leave here at approximately 1:30 p.m. Hope you rested well. I believe there's also a napkin down there where someone...
Your Honor, lack of foundation. He's referring to exhibits that aren't in evidence and
All right,
has no idea whether they even exist.
I'll sustain the objection now. Next question.
You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he sustained an injury on one of his fingers.
Objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
Oh,
Next question.
okay. You said he sustained an injury to his finger.
One of his fingers.
Objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
Oh,
Next question.
okay. You said he sustained an injury.
Premiere or opening or whatever, where she could be
Objection beyond the
photographed.
scope of the question, Your Honor.
Sorry?
I believe he was responding to what he meant by what he wrote in his text message
And then
to
he said
Dr.
I meant exactly what the word said, and now he's going beyond
All
the
right, I'll
scope.
sustain the objection. Next question.
Thank you, Mr. Roddenborn.
Your
Sir,
Honor,
if you could just answer the question, Mr. Depp, please. Direct your
Sorry.
attention just to your attorney, okay?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Uh,
Miss Heard would get upset, angry, argumentative, and violent in Australia. The one that was the day when my tip of my finger disappeared. When she arrived in Australia, she complained that an attorney who was explaining to her
Objection, Your Honor, is hearsay as to what he alleges her attorney was explaining to her. That's clearly
we can move on, Your
Okay,
Honor.
yes, ma'am.
In the content, and do you recall what you were upset about in that video?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
apparently looking for any metadata is impossible as it is
Your
now
Honor,
owned
beyond the
by...
scope of the
I'll
question.
sustain the objection. You want to ask the question
Mr.
again?
Depp, what do you remember?
that it didn't have anything to do with her.
Objection beyond the scope of the question.
Overruled, I'll allow it. It's fine. All right. Any objection to 365?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 365 in evidence.
Couch. 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 Yes.
Your Honor, she said this was 11 seconds.
Been nasty. No, I'm not saying
it's
that.
45.
You asked.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I think I misspoke. It may have been 45. I may have misremembered.
She said
It's
it
a.
was 11 seconds long.
I apologize. I misremembered. Okay, it's 45.
Well, that's sorry because we didn't publish it. There you go. Okay.
What do you want?
I want couch. I want couch. Agree, please, though. You said you agreed before we started talking.
Mr. Depp, do you recognize what's in that recording?
Seems pretty clear that she's ordering me to the couch. When someone brings up the fact that you vomit in your sleep every night, well, first I think you'd be aware of it. I think the first thing that I would do is seek medical attention. I don't know why anyone would record that.
Okay, 342, any objection?
As long as there's no one else in the audio recording.
What was it when you asked me to stay?
stand it. I thought you would change.
What did I do?
Not change. The screeching of her voice.
What does that mean in the context of that conversation?
I don't know. Again, it seems like some word that was. It became
Objection,
part
Your
of it.
Honor. He said he doesn't know.
All right, I'll sustain objection. Next question.
So at first I said,
Objection, Your Honor. The question was simply, do you remember when that was from? It was beyond scope.
Okay.
So, where were you when that recording was taken?
my children couldn't escape the fact that all this had gone down. So
Objection,
I was.
Your Honor. The question was, how did the discussion go? And he's talking about his children. It's way beyond the scope.
Just talking.
Sir, just wait for the objection.
I think he's describing the context around that conversation.
It's way beyond the scope.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Depp, why were you...
I mean, everybody, I know that that's his job, but that was quite a cruel...
Objection, Your Honor. We're well beyond the
All
scope.
right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Finally, I'd like to play a portion...
All right, any objection to 357A?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 357A in evidence.
You can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge think. See how many people believe or side with you.
How far after May 21st, 2016 do you think that conversation was?
Objection. Calls for speculation. Sorry to say that.
I'm asking for his best estimate.
I'll allow it if you can answer this.
Sorry, could you ask it again? I was distracted.
How long after... I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Sir, you can have a seat next to your attorney, please.
Thank
Okay,
you.
all right, your next witness. Ben King. Somebody going to go get Mr. King? You can just,
Do away with these.
you can take it with you. If you or you just leave it. You can leave it there.
Okay.
On one of his
Well,
fingers.
objection, hearsay.
You asked the question.
Oh,
Next question.
okay. You said it sustained an injury to his finger,
Yes.
but you don't know what caused the injury to his finger.
One of
That was the dog trying to get into the unit. And they were so afraid. Oh, somebody's trying to get into my unit. They're like, oh, come on, really? And I actually, when they asked me to go inside the unit just to check room by room to make sure no one was there. We don't have cameras in the videos. Sorry, we don't have cameras at the hallway. We don't have cameras on the hallway. I always make eye contact with someone that I'm talking to, but I'm not looking to find something like oh, your makeup's wrong, you haven't have to change your eyebrows, or your eyelashes are not even, or I'm not looking for anything. I'm just looking at their eyes.
But in fact, you don't recall seeing Amber Heard on May 24th, correct?
I don't remember. I don't even remember what I got for breakfast.
Okay. Well, let's pull up exhibit number 1. Did you testify truthfully to everything that you testified in response to my questions today?
That's correct.
right.
I did.
All right. That was a first. I'm sorry.
I will say, Your Honor, that is the most bizarre deposition.
Okay, all right. It's just gonna say I've just never seen that before. I've seen a lot of things, but I've just never seen it.
Driving that.
Yeah, that did it. All right, so
That news that he was given that night was catastrophic, wasn't it?
no.
And Mr. Depp was trying to urinate in the foyer, wasn't he?
No.
Mr. Depp had his penis out of his
Objection.
pants, didn't he?
I think I would remember.
Relevance.
I'll allow it. Next question.
It's alpaca day.
Describe the look on his face when you believe it registered that you're standing here with alpacas.
He just looked surprised and kind of happy as he was driving by.
Yeah.
I charge for my time.
Yeah.
And it's the same time.
You answer
that
my
I would
question, sir. In
charge-
fact, you charge $710 an hour for your time, don't you?
Counsel, if you let me complete my answer, I'll
No,
be happy to respond.
Sir, please try to stick to the question that I'm asking you. You've had your chance to go well beyond the question being asked, but if you could just please stick to the question I'm asking you, it would go a lot faster.
I don't think your microphone was on there. It's not really badgering. It's not a
Thank you,
rejection,
Your Honor.
but that's all right. Sir, just if you could answer the question that's asked. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let me start over, sir. You charge Mr. Depp $710 an hour.
And told that the payments in the future had to go
Objection, Your
directly
Honor.
to her.
This is clear hearsay. He's not answering the question. I would ask for you to instruct him to answer the question and not expound upon his.
I'll sustain as to hearsay. Next question.
What role did you play with respect to the payments ultimately made to him?
And in fact, you're being paid for the time that you're sitting on that witness stand today, aren't you?
No.
Your main contact with Mr. Depp and his companies is his sister, Christy Dombrowski, correct?
No.
One of your colleagues maintains active communication with Christy Dombrowski, correct?
Could you ask the question again, Counselor?
One of your colleagues maintains active communication with Christy Dombrowski, correct?
No.
Can you turn to page 116 of your deposition transcript?
Certainly.
Did I read that right?
Yes, but you
That was
you
my
need to
question,
find the
just if
term.
I read that right, sir. Now, part of the services that you provide, that your firm provides to Mr. Depp, is Mr. Depp owed significant amount of money to the Bank of California at that time, correct?
No.
In layman's terms that I can understand, because I don't speak all the kind of business school terms that you speak. He didn't have enough money at the time, correct? He was spending more than he was bringing in, correct? That news that he was given that night was catastrophic, wasn't it?
No.
Question, now Mr. Depp was given some catastrophic news about his business. Answer, that is correct. Did I read that right?
You did, but remember,
That was just
when
my
I get a
question.
chance
You
to
answered my
respond,
question, sir. You answered
I
my
did not
question.
define that term.
Sir, you'll have a chance. The attorney will get back up and redirect you, okay? So if you just answer his question, that's fine.
Now, you, at this meeting, you had a discussion about his financial affairs and a necessity to formulate a revised business strategy and plan, correct?
Yes.
And you talked about the following financial information. You talked about his taxes. He hadn't paid taxes in years, correct?
No, that's not correct. That he had not paid any taxes in years is not correct.
But I just would like to move these into evidence. I don't plan to publish them or anything at this point. You understood that Mr. Depp showed up hours late for work on Pirates 5, correct?
That is not correct.
I'm
She
just
was
asking
going
if
to
that's what you
contribute
wrote.
$3,500,000 to children. You've asked me a question. I'm trying to respond.
No, I was actually just asking if that's what you wrote.
It was my understanding she was going to contribute the money, and that's
Okay,
consistent
sir,
with my
I just
response.
asked if that's what you wrote. I think you've answered that. Can we please pull up Exhibit 1596? I understand that you want to speak your own narrative here, but my question was simply, that this letter says that this check represents the first of multiple scheduled installments to honor the full amount of Miss Heard's $3.5 million pledged gift, correct?
We can both read the letter, and the answer is yes.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon.
And would you please state your full name for the record?
Malcolm Connolly.
And Mr. Connolly, where are you testifying from at the moment?
From home, Essex, UK.
And where do you live?
I live in Essex, UK.
Objection, Your Honor.
In the presence of...
Okay, all right. Hold on, Mr. Connolly, for a minute.
I think Jack Sparrow was more drunk than Johnny Depp.
So that's marijuana. What about alcohol? Same question.
And then you went in the house and saw Mr. Depp in the foyer, correct?
Yes, correct.
And Mr. Depp was trying to urinate in the foyer, wasn't he?
No.
Mr. Depp had his penis out of his pants,
Objection.
didn't he?
I think I would remember
Relevance.
Mr. Depp.
I'll allow. Next question.
And you were trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house, correct?
Correct, I was trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house, yes.
And Mr. Depp was refusing to leave the house, was he not?
Not so much refused, he just wanted 2 minutes to say his piece.
Back in the little room again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
How many times have you seen Mr. Depp use marijuana?
Too many to count. I mean, daily.
When you're working security for Mr. Depp, it's Mr. Depp and Mr. Depp alone that is your client, correct?
That is not correct.
Well, in fact, you saw Mr. Depp push or shove Whitney Heard, correct?
Absolutely not.
And it was only after Mr. Depp pushed Whitney that Amber stepped forward and punched him in the face. Isn't that right?
That is not correct.
Your next witness.
Mr. Depp calls Jack Wiggum, who should be waiting in the electronic lobby.
Okay.
Were you aware of Mr. Depp's professional reputation at the time you became his agent in October of 2016?
I would say objection leading, and I think it's going to call for hearsay.
I'll overrule at this point. Go ahead.
Johnny's reputation, in my opinion, was very well regarded and respected by peers in the artistic community.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. First of all, he says in his opinion, which he's not an expert witness, and second, he's now going into hearsay.
No, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Mr. Wiggum, Her Honor, you may continue.
I remember Brian Lord and myself finishing a deal that had started at the previous agency.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
Okay. Hold on a minute.
What role was Mr. Depp to play in Pirate 6?
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll allow it.
And hearsay.
I'll allow it.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
In 2017, to what extent, if any, was Mr. Bruckheimer supportive of Mr. Depp remaining in the Pirates franchise?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. To what extent, if any, did Mr. Depp socialize with anyone at Disney in 2017, to the extent you know?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow it to the extent he knows.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp socialized with Disney during 2017, yes or no?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation and hearsay.
I do.
If you could lay a foundation to how he knows.
And Your Honor, may we please publish this to the jury as it's been previously. Oh, it is. Thank you. How, if at all, did Ms. Heard's op-ed impact Mr. Depp's ability to land roles in studio films between December 2018 and October 2020?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay, foundation, and expert.
I'll sustain that objection. Next. Are you near the end, Mr. Chu? I just want to make sure because it's
I
coming
am,
up on our
Your
morning break. Okay.
This is an email chain with the subject line, quote, Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow won't return.
I object to him reading even from that to the jury. It's a hearsay document. He's asking questions from the hearsay document.
I'll allow that question. Let's see where we go.
Would you please explain to the jury what the message was about?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. Hearsay. He's asking to essentially say.
If we want to approach for a moment.
Mr. Wiggum, did there come a time after Ms. Heard's publication of the op-ed on December 18, 2018, but before October 2020, that you learned more about Disney's plans about whether it would cast Mr. Depp in Pirate 6?
Objection, hearsay.
All right.
I'm just asking whether he...
Okay, I'll allow that.
Yes.
What, if anything, did you learn about the role Margot Robbie would be playing in Pirate 6?
I think that calls for hearsay. Again, Your Honor, I'm going to object.
I'll overrule the objection.
To what extent did you reach out to Jerry Bruckheimer or Sean Bailey?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
It does not, Your Honor.
Overruled, I'll allow it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Was your outreach to Mr. Bruckheimer and Mr. Bailey successful?
Objection, leading.
I'll allow it.
No.
When was the last time you discussed Mr. Depp's role in Pirate 6 with Jerry Bruckheimer, Sean Bailey, or anyone else at Disney?
I'm going to object, Your Honor, on hearsay.
Overruled.
2019, I believe.
In addition to Pirate 6, did Mr. Depp lose other films between December 2018 and October 2020 because of Ms. Heard's op-ed?
Objection.
I'll sustain the objection.
In addition to Pirate 6, did Mr. Depp lose any other films between December 2018 and October 20?
Objection, Your Honor. First of all, I don't think he testified that he lost Pirate 6. Second of all,
She's now contradicting the witness's testimony, which is inappropriate.
Both of you, overruled. Let's go. Next, go ahead and answer the question. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our morning recess. Do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research, okay?
He's testifying to the impact of the op-ed. I think it's, in fairness, we should be able to put this in and be able to make the comparisons.
It's clearly hearsay.
Okay, I'll sustain the
It's
objection.
not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted, Your
I'll
Honor.
sustain the objection.
Okay. Well, let's go to... So do you recall that it says in here...
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
Your Honor...
She's just trying to backdoor your ruling.
And the press that surrounded that case, do you recall it being focusing on things like Mr. Depp's drug and alcohol use?
I don't recall when I first read it.
I mean, it wasn't a big deal to you. You didn't read it in 2018, correct?
I have a wife, 2 kids, a full-time job. I don't remember.
Okay. And you have no idea when you first read it? I just want to make sure I understand that.
Objection asked and answered, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the
Look,
objection.
I wasn't
I'll
at this.
sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay.
I sustain the objection.
Okay.
Next question.
Mr. Marks, you were asked a series of questions about a number of publications and publicity related to Mr. Depp by Mr. Nadelhoff. Do you recall those questions?
He asked a lot of questions about a lot of articles.
Right, so you don't know how many people actually did the search for Johnny Depp in January 2004, correct?
Correct.
It could be 100 or it could be 1 million, right?
I don't know.
And you don't know if it's actually human beings doing these searches, correct?
As opposed
to bots or something like that.
I did not do an analysis to determine if it's a bot or a human being, but Google Trends is a tool that's going to show you during a time frame the highest point of search interest as 100.
Okay. But you don't know if it's humans, bots, my cat doing the searches, correct?
Objection asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained. Next question.
Now, texts allegedly sent by Johnny Depp about X read in court.
I mean, if you want to talk about these articles, we need to bring them up.
This is your opinion. You don't recall what articles you analyzed?
I mean, there's a lot of articles here. I didn't memorize each title.
There were 6 articles that you analyzed in the almost 2 years after the op-ed.
All right, can you bring those up and we can talk about them? I'd be happy to discuss them if you would bring those up.
And then you previously had a chart that had articles from November 2020, correct?
If you can just answer his yes or no
Oh,
question,
sorry.
that's fine.
I didn't hear your question. You again.
Dr. Curry, if you, Dr. Hughes, I don't know why I keep
Oy.
doing that. My apologies. Dr. Hughes, I think it's the confusion of having her in the courtroom. Just let us know you're consulting your notes, okay? The concern is that you not read from them, that you consult them as you need to, okay?
Correct. I just don't want this to be a memory test of having conducted many documents, 80 pages of notes,
But
and 12 psychological testings to...
You can reference your notes, just don't read from them, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great. So please tell us what documents you reviewed. Please tell the jury.
So Dr. Bonnie Jacobs was Ms. Heard's therapist, and may I refresh my recollection with my notes, Your Honor?
She's allowed to
For the
consult
dates,
her notes.
if you'd like me to tell the dates.
If she's asking me a question,
Oh,
I'm not going to answer.
You're right. Yes.
May I?
Yes, you may consult your notes, yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Can we be heard?
So I am going to refer to my designation that has the list so that I don't forget anything.
Okay.
So I administered...
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
She can refresh her recollection.
As long as she's not reading it.
Right, you just can't read. You're not supposed to read from it, but you can refresh your recollection as you're speaking.
So I can look and just look up, and that's refreshing my recollection? Okay.
All right, if we could approach for a moment.
And what did they show?
I would like to refer to the testing.
To refresh
To
your
refresh
recollection?
my recollection, just a glance, so
Yes,
I
you
can
may
be
do that.
clear with the jury. So what the overall gist of the testing was that, and what...
Objection, Your Honor. We're back to reading.
She wasn't even looking down. She was looking at the jury.
And then finally, Amber Heard wrote an email talking about how distressed and heartbroken she was.
Objection, hearsay.
I mean, I don't agree.
I know. Sustained. I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
All right. Can you give another example?
I think those are all I can remember at this point.
Okay. What if any?
And Dr. Anderson stored 2 bruises on her face and told me my husband kicked me and he pushed me and he punched me in the head. And should I call the police?
Objection, Your Honor.
What should I do?
She's not reading, Your Honor. She's just saying the significance.
Sustain the objection. Next question.
Why didn't Amber Heard leave the relationship sooner?
I mean, you know why.
Objection, speculation, Your Honor.
Have you formed, based on your experience and based on your 29 hours of clinical evaluation of Amber Heard, what is your understanding of why Amber Heard didn't leave the relationship earlier?
Objection, beyond the scope of the disclosure.
It clearly is not. I mean, it's clearly in the disclosure. Point to where you say it's not. I mean,
point to where you say it's not.
You're
Could you come forward?
And what is your profession?
I am an actor, mostly.
Okay.
I am here because my ex-husband is suing me for an op-ed I wrote.
And how do you feel about that?
I struggle to have the words.
Thank you. Tell us where you grew up. Do you remember the first time that he physically hit you?
Yes.
Please tell the jury about it.
It was so... I didn't realize at the time, but I think he was using cocaine because it was like there was a jar of cocaine out on the table. I realize that sounds weird, but it was like an actual vintage jar of it. Slapped me across the face. And I laughed. I laughed because I was just sitting there on this carpet, looking at the dirty carpet, wondering how I wound up on this carpet and why I never noticed that the carpet was so filthy before, and I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. I just sat there thinking, how much time do I have till I figure out what I need to do? Because, God, did he just hit me? I know you can't hit a woman. You can't hit a man. You can't hit anyone. You can't just hit somebody because I knew it was wrong, and I knew that I had to leave him. And, you know, like, I had never seen an adult man cry.
So you stayed, correct? You stayed in the relationship?
Yes.
So
We walk in. Meanwhile, I've been bombarded by text messages and calls and conversations with everyone seemingly so stressed about...
Objection, hearsay. Did you end up sending a copy of this picture to Rocky Pennington that day?
I did. I sent it to my best friend at the time, and, you know, it was like, look at my morning.
Objection, hearsay. Okay, you can't say what you said, but you sent it to your friend, correct? Let's go to 167, please.
My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet and went on with our, you know, vacation. We actually went to another location after that, and then eventually went home and...
All right. There he is. That's awesome.
Stop.
Sing your song?
I would have died.
Awesome. Thanks. See you.
Oh, I see her, I see her.
Why you do that bed? There she goes. Oh. Oh, you suck.
You cannot testify that Johnny Depp was not abused, can you?
I can testify that he had physical acts of violence perpetrated on him as well as psychological aggressive acts perpetrated upon him.
No further questions.
All relatives.
Anyway, Johnny became upset with me for judging him. He was, you know, he said some disgusting things to me. I don't know if I need to repeat it.
Okay, let's go. Michelle, can you bring up Defendant's Exhibit 1090? Don't tell us what the co-star said. Just tell us what your communication was with Mr. Depp.
Objection, hearsay. Her communications are hearsay.
People could invite me to a concert in a platonic way. I tried to say that it was fine.
Objection, hearsay.
Do I have that redaction, or is that something you need to give me?
I think we're going to need to give it to you a hard
Okay.
copy.
All right,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And if
I found out that he was in a hotel room with Paul Bettany.
Objection, hearsay.
move forward, because
When he came home, they had to carry him home.
Objection, hearsay.
Did you see them?
I
carry
watched
him?
it.
Okay. Did you have any contact with Lily Rose that led to any discussions with Mr. Depp?
Objection, leading.
What, if any, communications did you have with Lily Rose in November 2013?
Objection, calls hearsay, leading.
What, if any, interaction did you have with Lily Rose without saying anything she said?
Objection, hearsay.
What, if any, interaction did you have with Lily Rose that led to an argument with Mr. Depp?
Objection, leading.
Did you have an argument with Mr. Depp relating to Lily Rose in November 2013?
Yes.
Can you please describe that?
Well, I was, and Lily Rose at some point had a crush on a, you know.
Objection, hearsay, and lack of foundation.
It went back to being wonderful. There were these moments that just felt so wonderful.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
You employed a woman named Kate James, is that correct?
Objection, leading.
And why is that?
She was,
Your Honor, I'm going to object on hearsay grounds. It's still hearsay.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 209. Business records exception.
Still hearsay, Your Honor.
I don't agree. I think that's the point that hearsay can... What, if any, communications did you have with Kate James about your issues with Mr. Depp?
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, Ms. James has testified.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right, we can take that down, Michelle.
and I thought it's, you know, I would have forgotten about the extent that we had those conversations early on in the engagement if it hadn't have been for my therapist's notes.
I'm sorry, if it hadn't been for your what?
If it hadn't been for my therapist's notes, which were taken at the time when I was talking to her about this and my conversations with
Objection, hearsay.
Okay.
I'll sustain the objection.
We'll move on. Okay.
Came down at the end when we were leaving, and came down once because he was at the time sharing drugs with my dad.
Objection. Speculation. Lack of foundation.
How do you know that he was sharing drugs with your dad?
I was there. I watched it.
Please continue.
My dad actually left with Johnny's security to go get more drugs from
Objection.
West
Calls for
Hollywood.
speculation.
How do you know that?
They told me.
Hearsay.
Sustain the objection.
Could you please tell the jury what a Met Gala is and what's involved in that?
Objection. Compound.
He thought I was looking at this woman in a sexual way, and I kind of turned it around on him and said that exactly.
Objection. Hearsay.
It's context, Your Honor. This is context.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Just say what Mr. Depp said then. I guess you can't tell us what you said to him.
Okay. And Johnny shoves me and kind of grabs me by the collarbone area, like not really my neck, but top of my neck, above my collarbone, below my neck. And I feel this boot in my back. He just kicked me in the back. I fell to the floor, I caught myself on the floor, and I just felt like I was looking at the floor of the plane felt like a long time. Jerry Judge's security and my friend both kind of under their breath asked me, "Are you okay?"
Objection. Hearsay.
I spent the rest of the time looking out
I'll
of the window.
sustain the objection.
And
Objection. Non-responsive.
And if
calls for speculation.
He would not remember what he had done.
Calls for speculation.
Did you reach out to,
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay and leading.
and this is a communication between you and Rocky Pennington, your best friend, is that correct?
That's correct.
Objection, hearsay.
Did you text your mother and your father about this incident?
Objection, hearsay.
What, if any, communication did you have with your mother or your father following this incident?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustain that objection.
What, if any, communications did you have with Kate James following the Boston plane incident?
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, if we go to 224.
Okay. I reached out to friends and family, asked for support.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
Mental condition.
It doesn't, it's still hearsay, Your Honor. May we approach?
I'm going to ask you to turn now to 228.
Your Honor, we're going to object on hearsay.
First line, Your Honor,
Okay.
is all I understand in Your Honor's ruling, but I think.
You know, on the plane, I was so careful.
Objection, non-responsive.
What, if any, communications did you have with Stephen Duders?
Objection, hearsay.
What, if any, communication were you having with him following the Boston plane incident?
Objection, hearsay. May we approach?
All right.
I thought I had effectively...
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive. Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
What's in the email?
That calls for hearsay, Your Honor.
And then when he finished filming, the plan was to do
Objection,
the
Your
full
Honor,
detox.
hearsay. And lack of foundation.
I was involved in the conversations
Please
with the doctors and with his sister.
Objection,
and
Your Honor,
nurse.
that's still hearsay.
All right, I'll sustain the
That
objection.
that part is. So,
They put Johnny on a bunch of new medications, which they shared with me, told me about.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
He was taking about double the amount.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
is this
No, I
your
saw,
observation?
I saw it.
Okay, overruled.
Thank you.
At one point in our conversations, I told him about how,
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
you know, we're on an island. I'm trying to take care of him, and he was hallucinating. And
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
I hadn't said anything. I would tell him, Johnny,
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Well, I think in the context, Your Honor, it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. Did you have communications with Mr. Depp about auditioning for another role in this time frame?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm going to object to the exhibit as hearsay.
I don't see him anymore. I don't see him anymore. And one of him was black.